But I ordered a zero-turn lawnmower, which I don't know how familiar people are with that, but instead of having a steering wheel up front on the lawnmower, it has these 2 bars, and that's how you drive. And man, I never ridden one of them, but I had a blast. I mean, I was just ripping it up, and we got a lot. It's very hilly out there where we're at. I mean, there's a good bit of flat land, but there's also a good bit of hilly land. So I'm up and down, and then I got some area down by the creek that gets real soft. And the first day I started mowing a lot of that, and it was pretty good. And then it rained over the night, but I didn't think it rained that hard, but I think it rained harder than I thought. So I went down there and I started cutting the next day, and I got stuck a couple of times in the mud, but I was able to work my way out of there. And then I had a lot of trouble getting back up the hill. And the scary thing about the zero turn is if you're going up a hill and then it gets stuck and you're only the back wheels go. There's no power to the front wheels. And they'll just spin however. So if you kind of get stuck and then need to go back downhill, that thing will just completely spin around. I got stuck going up a couple of times, and it would completely, I would go, all right, I got to go back down and try again. And it would completely spin around, and then I'd be going fast forward down. And I got to learn how to do it. I mean, this thing's wild. But we also have these swales cut in, and we've been putting limestone rock along the swales to keep all the dirt from eroding away. And one swale is very steep. But, there's still enough room on there to where some grass is growing and you can drive across. And so, I made a couple of strips across as I was, and this was 3.5 hours into cutting. The lawnmower logs how many hours of use has been on it. So at this point, there was 3.5 hours of use on it. So I had been up and down hills. I'd been cutting, running over sticks, and all kind of things. So I'd had 3.5 hours of experience at this point. And so I started getting a little riskier with how I'd go down a little bit further each time on the hill trying to get more of the grass cut, because the grass is very high. And I already burned my push mower up. I mean, trying to cut that tall grass. I mean, I burned it up. A thick cloud of white smoke just shot out of the side of it. Hannah thought there was a fire down there.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff's getting wild out here. So I got my last, I was done. I was like, all right, I'm done, but I'm just going to do one more strip through here and then I'll call it quits. And I got stuck and I couldn't get up the hill. And then I was just trying to adjust, trying to slowly work my way out of there. And now looking back, I know what I would do to get myself out of that situation. Because it felt like I was very close to a dangerous situation. That thing whipped around and then went down this very steep swale, and I landed on top of the rocks. I thought for sure I had broken the mower, and it's a miraculous event. I don't know why I can't say the word, that I did not fall off the lawnmower. I think it's heavy enough to maybe not flip. I don't think flipping was so much of a danger, but it was wild, and I was totally fine, and the lawnmower was fine. I drove it around more after that, but I had to get the four-wheeler down there, and I hooked up a chain to the four-wheeler to the lawnmower. I had to get Hannah, who just learned to drive a four-wheeler yesterday.
Also got that stuck the day before.
She just learned to drive a four-wheeler the same day I learned to drive a zero-turn lawnmower, and yeah, they got it stuck the day before. I had my mom and Hannah. I had to go get it out of there.
Didn't know how to reverse.
The Honda four-wheelers do have kind of a complicated reverse thing, and if you don't know how to do it, and that was the only problem. They couldn't figure out how to get it in reverse.
So I brought the four-wheeler down, but of course both kids are up. Sam's just woken up from a nap. Now, I don't know, child services may not like this, but I had him in one arm while I was putting the gas on the four-wheeler, and the four-wheeler's gas and brake are on the handlebars. So you need technically two hands to do it, but you can make do with one if you're going slow.
And we were going slow, but I didn't want to snap the chain. It was not a very big chain. I just needed a little extra pull, and we did get it out of there, no problem. But it was just it was just, and
you were walking around in a shocked haze, like, because I heard the crash, but I couldn't see it because you were deep in that swale. And so I heard the crash and I was like, ooh, that's bad. But I didn't hear any screams of horror or pain.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's good. But I did see a poof of smoke and the abrupt ending of the motor. And then all of a sudden, and then you still didn't pop up for a good amount of time. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what you're doing. And then I see you kind of pop up. And I was like, hey, you all right? And I just see you staring at it. And then you kind of backpedal for a second, and then you kind of scratch your head, and then you're staring at it, and then you look at me, and I'm like, you okay? And you're just looking at me like you're in a daze.
Well, I couldn't hear you saying those things, but yeah, I was in a bit of a daze because I'm like, I wrecked. I was totally fine, but I just was looking at it like, wow, that was wild. That could have been really bad.